My next guest is an account executive in event sales with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment and also a co-founder of Groundbreakers. Please welcome to the show, Danielle Henry. And
Hey, thanks for having me, Vince.
thanks for doing this. So Danielle, tell us about your journey early in your career at Starbucks and the process and reason for moving into the sport industry at MLSE.
Absolutely. So my experience is a little bit unique, a little bit different than a lot of the people I work with at MLSE. A lot of people either knew someone or interned and kind of got their foot in the door that way. Whereas my experience was a little bit different in that I started at Starbucks when I was in university, just part time as a barista, and kind of worked my way up into a manager position as I was finishing school. So once that came and I had managed at a couple different stores with different teams, I realized that I didn't want to be in retail forever and I was kind of looking for that next step in more of a 9 to 5 corporate job. So when I started to search the market, funny enough, I came across the role with MLSE. It was on LinkedIn and it actually had said 1,800 applicants had applied to the job already. So I kind of shot my shot, if you will, and threw my resume into the application there. And really, I truly thought that I didn't have a chance, just given that crazy number that was right in front of me. But a couple of weeks later, I got the call for a group interview, and then following that was a four-on-one interview, and then I somehow got the role. And I think my biggest thing that was a standout throughout that whole process was just the ability to be myself and be able to showcase my skills and abilities that I did learn at Starbucks and throughout school and other jobs I had had previously, and what I could bring to the table at MLSE. And I think that's essentially what ended up making me get the job.
Awesome. Uh, Danielle, in your current role as an account executive in event sales, what are your key responsibilities with MLSE?
Yeah, so my job's really unique in that, yes, I sell tickets and my job is essentially in sales. So my core job function is really just being able to sell our tickets in wholesale, in volume, whether that be groups of 10, just a couple friends going out to a game, or a larger scale corporate event or theme night. And so that's where I get to get a little bit creative and tap more into the event planning side, is with those larger scale events and really being able to bring them to life. And I think for me, that's the part I love most about my core job, is just being able to get creative, plan and execute.
And yeah, how has kind of the process changed in your role since this whole pandemic?
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting time. I think for everyone, it's such a big change. The ability to work from home, we've been really grateful for. But in terms of what's kind of changed in our job, there's been a lot. As you know, there's no games right now, so that kind of takes away the time we would usually spend either talking on the phone with clients about upcoming games and trying to sell them into a certain product, planning for an event, or even just doing last minute touch points with someone for a game that night. Those are all things that have kind of gone out the door right now. So right now we're shifting a lot more of our time to more of that admin stuff that we don't usually have the time to do when we're running around with 3 teams in play. So some of the things that I'm doing right now is planning for when we are back to work and what kinds of new group events and ideas I can bring to life. Still doing some touch points with customers, that relationship there, and check in and make sure they're doing okay and see if there's anything we can do to help, as well as running things like Groundbreakers and keeping that campaign going.
Speaking of Groundbreakers, so Danielle, how did it all start, and how has the organization grown with events over the past few years?
So it was a really fun story in that we really didn't plan for it to be what it is now today. Essentially, it was a group of us girls in my department who were talking about how our company does a lot of really amazing initiatives and events, especially in the realm of career forums, where we have a panel of speakers, followed by networking, and then everyone has a ticket to the game. So it's a great way for us to sell tickets, but it's also a really great way to bring the community together, give students an opportunity to hear from professionals, um, and kind of bring that whole event to life. So we said, like we do such a great job at doing these career forums and these panel events, but we don't really do anything focused specifically for women. And so we thought, let's take that exact same concept and focus it on females both in the industry and in business in general. And so we really just test run it with an Argos game when we had first purchased the Argos a couple of years ago. And then we were really just overwhelmed with the amount of feedback that people were giving out online without us asking to. We didn't have a social media page at that point, but um, all these amazing attendees went online and started talking about how inspired they were by the event and how thankful they were for Groundbreakers and for MLSE. And I think that kind of made all of us take a step back and say, hey, like maybe this is something we can continue to do with all of our teams, and maybe we just change up the theme every time. It doesn't always have to be the same topic. That's what we did, and that's how it kind of started to snowball. And we did the Leafs event, and then the Raptors event, and TFC. We did a Mother's Day event, and then we did one outside of our venue. We did a Pink concert. So I would say over the last year and a half, it's really grown and developed, and now we do have a social media page and a following there, and we're looking to kind of continue to grow on the success of the program, and excited for kind of what's in store next.
Yeah, I want to how on top of doing your daily responsibilities with your role, how do you balance between doing your role and then also with Groundbreakers? Because it seems like there's a lot of things to do for both.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. This will be my answer. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a challenge at times for sure. I think like anyone who takes on more responsibilities and projects, you're always just going to have to be really good at your time management. And it's still something I have to work on every day. By no means am I an expert now, but one thing I've really learned since not only getting in this industry, but then taking on other projects like Groundbreakers is just being able to manage my calendar really efficiently, time block. Like I'm very organized in the sense that I like things color coded by what I'm working on. So just being able to really stay grounded and hold myself accountable with that calendar, I think that would be my number one tip to kind of manage it all.
Well, as you know, I went to the Argos won the first one in the Raptors event, and I loved it. It was so professional, and it was just great. I just loved being there and learning from the panelists, and even uh, just meeting people because it's actually a great forum to network with people that you don't know. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's been one of the things that we've almost found is like a success story for us coming out of some of these events is just like the relationships people have built, whether it be sitting beside someone at the game that they didn't even meet at the event beforehand, or someone that they saw on the panel and they really enjoyed hearing from, so they decided to go talk to them afterwards, and then ended up exchanging information, and then next thing you know, they're an intern with us. And so I think like that's been kind of a really cool thing that's come out of this too, is just these other relationships that have built just from having this.
Awesome. Um, you had an opportunity to present a TED Talk at the annual MLSE Leadership Conference. What was that experience like for you?
Terrifying. I think like anyone who would go through that experience for the first time or has a fear of public speaking like I do would probably go through the same feelings. Um, but I was very lucky that MLSE had set me up with a TED Talks trainer. I got like two separate 1 hour sessions to work with him, both on the content of the speech as well as the delivery. So that obviously helped me feel more confident and good going into it. And just practicing in front of the mirror, practicing in front of my camera, and rewatching it, practicing in front of friends, family, colleagues. I think like that whole experience is what then ends up allowing you to get up on stage and do it. And like in the first 5 seconds of my speech, I ended up screwing up. No fault of my own. It was actually like a funny thing. It was because the teleprompter in front of me, they had somehow put my very first version of the speech up onto the teleprompter opposed to like my version 15 that I was actually supposed to be reading. So when I started to kind of look down and I saw that, I stumbled and then took a step back and just started going again. And I think because of that practice, I was able to then deliver the rest of that 10 minutes smoothly. And then I was talking to people afterwards and no one even noticed the screw up. But the feeling of being able to finish that 10 minutes and then walk off the stage and go, wow, I actually just did that. I just spoke in front of 300 people on the TIFF stage that are all managers and above at the company. Like that was one of the most rewarding feelings I've ever had in my life. Um, And it really pushed me to grow. Now I know that whenever those challenges come in front of me or those opportunities are there, I'm going to take them because it's an opportunity to grow and to learn and push yourself outside your comfort zone.
I love TED Talk videos. I watch them all the time. So really amazing. Danielle, lastly, MLSE is doing something amazing with partners in Scotiabank Arena during this pandemic. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe it would have been almost 2 weeks ago now. It was launched in partnership with a ton of our different partners between Sobeys, Bell, Rogers, and there's tons more I couldn't even name. But essentially, we came together with this idea of turning our arena into the biggest kitchen in Toronto right now to help support for people who need it most. And we're pumping out, I actually just read a stat at the end of last week, because last week was the first week officially running. We ended up doing over 100,000 meals last week, all going to homeless shelters in Toronto, as well as frontline workers. So they're doing some nice surprise and delights to the hospitals when workers are done their shift, for them to take home meals to them and their family, just to make one little thing easier in their lives right now and show them how appreciative we are. And though like I wasn't part of this project at all, it's something I'm just super super proud of my colleagues and this company for doing something that's really good and impactful for the community.
Awesome. Danielle, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Great hearing your insights and stories. And yeah, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Vince. Good luck, and I'm excited to see some of the other speakers that come out of this.